That's the total number we have tonight. Everything that you might not have is going to be on this paper. Mr. Johnson is going to cover everything, but everything he goes over, you're going to find on his papers. So at the end of the meeting, please feel free, if you're missing one, to come over to the table, okay?
Well, I'm gratified to see everybody out. Thank you so much for coming out. This is the beginning of new things and great things, I'm hoping, praying. And let's go to the Lord in prayer and ask Him to bless this. And we'll get started. We'll try to get out of here quick. But I really appreciate all you guys coming out today. This is really encouraging for me. Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to serve. We love athletics, Father. We think it's a great way to discipline, disciple, grow, be put under pressure, character be revealed, the opportunity for you to work. Father, we want to be your tools in all of that. We want to run an athletic program that honors you. We want to run an athletic program that shows the love of Jesus. We want to be competitive, Lord, to reach our God-given potential. Father, we want to keep all things in order. We want to make sure that we're always abiding in Christ and doing things well. We ask your blessing today that we will say all the right things and that we won't say things that we shouldn't say. We ask that you would fill the room with the Spirit and guide us in our thoughts and our actions, and that we can just come together and get off to a great start here at Concord Christian in a new day. Father, we praise you for all these things and we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. I want to introduce my first team to you. I'm really excited to become your athletic director. My name is Bruce Johnson. I come to you by way of North Carolina. I've been an athletic director in public schools for about 20 years. Before that, I was a teacher and coach for about 20 years. So I've been doing this for a long time. And when the word came, actually it was, my son really is the reason why I'm here. His best friend and another real son of mine really is over at Grace. He's the basketball coach at Grace. He came to me and said, you need to come over and go for this Concord Christian job. And I said, why is that? And he said, because they've got everything they need to be successful. He says, they've got a wonderful school. It's in the best place in town. They got a great reputation. They just haven't done athletics very well. And he goes, if you come over and help them straighten out their athletic program, he goes, I really believe that school will take off. And so it piqued my curiosity. And so we put our name in and we let the Lord lead, and here we stand. But I don't think that I would have come had it not been for the fact that there's a great first team here. And first of all, Robin Baxter, you all know Robin. Come on up. And Robin will continue to be the heart and soul. I had a big school just a month or so ago asked me to come up and be their athletic director. I still have a little reputation up that way. And I said, well, do you have an assistant or a secretary? And they said, no. I said, okay. I said, do you have an assistant athletic director? They said, no, we don't. This is a big 6A school outside of Pittsburgh. And I said, do you have a full-time trainer? I said, well, no, we've got this and that and this. I said, forget it. And they, what are you talking about? I said, well, I'm a little Christian school in Knoxville, and I've got a full-time assistant. I've got an assistant athletic director, and I've got a full-time trainer. And I said, why would I come up here and take on this mess for that? So I am blessed. I am blessed that we have such a great team. Ryan, come on up. Ryan has taken on the position as head football coach. And by that, he's going to take over our football program and build it from the ground up. And I know my start here was not auspicious. I called my buddy and I said, hey, I've been on the job 3 days and I canceled football. And he called me a name. He said, you? And I went, whoa, wait a minute. I said, we're going to build this thing back up. He said, you better. But anyway, the Lord just put on my heart a couple days after I met Ryan that this is, you know, sometimes we go on these intergalactic searches for people and they're right there. And Ryan has got everything that I wanted to be to lead this football program, which I think is going to really revitalize our entire athletic program. First of all, he loves the Lord, and he loves using athletics to teach kids. That was just first and foremost. And when I saw that, I was very happy. Secondly, I saw his football background, because you got to be able to get the job done. All right? This isn't socialism. We got to get the job done. And so I needed somebody that could do that, and somebody that could attract kids and that had a way of communicating with kids. And I saw all of that in Ryan. And when I went to him, I said, Lord, I need this man to step up and say yes. And he did that, and he's been stepping up for me every day ever since, in all kinds of ways that you can't imagine. And that's what I need. When you go into a place, you guys know this, those of you guys that are in business, stuff like that, you know, there's two kinds of people. You know, those that sit around waiting for you to get it done, and then those that help you get it done. And Ryan's a guy that helps you get it done. And when I say, hey, I want to do this, next thing you know, he's got 3 or 4 ways in which I can get that done. And I've been really excited about that, and we've been able to get some things done because of Ryan. But we're going to be successful, I've got to tell you. And it's because of these two. And then Katie, come on over here. And when I first met Katie, I went, Lord help me, she's going to talk me right out of the room. I'm going to have to figure this out. But Katie, you guys know how much Katie loves these kids. And it doesn't take you very long to see that. And when you have a trainer, first of all, you have to have somebody that's tough. And I walked out to watch the first soccer match, and the lightning went off, and there was nobody running the show. I wasn't on the job yet. And lightning went off, and everybody's just standing around, and I'm thinking, okay, here we go. You know, and next thing I know, here comes Katie with a whip and a bullhorn, and chasing people off, and I thought, there you go. She's another person that gets the job done. And so I'm real excited about my first team. And I want you to be too, because we're here for the right reasons, and we're here for you. And so you can communicate with us, and we'll do everything in our power to make this a great year for you and a successful year. So Robin's the heart and soul. She's the one that's going to get everything done. And but don't be afraid to put me and Ryan to work too. We'll be hiding as much as possible from it, but let us know. So anyway, thank you guys. In place except for baseball. I feel pretty excited about the staff. I think we've got some good people in place, people that are willing to come in and tear this whole thing down and kind of start over, which is what we've done. We literally tore the entire organization apart, all the way down to nothing, and started over. And so I think we've got a pretty good model of how to run an athletic department. I want you to know that things are going to happen, and they're going to happen quickly, but I also want you to have a measure of patience. You know, I've had some people, you know, with comments, you know, I've seen on social media and some criticisms, and I thought to myself, good night, we've just been here 3 weeks. We haven't even cleaned the office out yet. And if you've been down in that office and seen that mess that we have down there, you'll know what I'm talking about. When I say we've torn it down, we have torn it down. I think we're really going to move once we get things organized. But I'd ask that you understand that nothing happens overnight, and that you win with kids. And right now we're struggling with kids. You know, we're right there in a lot of programs. I don't want anybody to panic about that. You know, we had to drop football. That's not a big deal. It was a big deal for those 6 seniors. It was a heartbreaking deal. And I can't tell you how crushed I was to have to face those kids. But for us as a school, we can. This was what we had to do. If that happens in another sport, I don't want you to panic and go, oh my goodness. You know, the Lord sometimes thins the herd before he gets things going in the right direction. And so I'm looking around and I'm thinking there's a lot of good people here. And I think that we can really do a lot of good things. So I want you to be patient. I don't want you to worry about every up and down that comes along, but I think you'll see a lot of progress, and I think you'll be motivated by that, and I think you'll be excited by that. So we're going to run top-down programs, and right now I'm trying to train my coaches in that, and it gets a little bit frustrating when I get a phone call that came through Robin that comes to me when I'm sitting at home at 8:30 at night, and I'm thinking, where's my head coach? You know, my head coach has got to learn how to run this program and make these decisions. And so we're training, and but our coaches are open to that. They're ready for some leadership, and I'm excited about all those kinds of things. I want to spend some time talking about 4 or 5 areas that I think are really important, and I want to do this in a way that's firm, yet that you see my heart and you see what we want to do. And that's something that you can rally around and say, yes, I really believe that that's the right thing and we're going in the right direction. So let me talk about, and you have this in front of you. It starts at the top. It says excellence, service, being elite. And this is really kind of my blueprint, if you will. I have done this in the public school. I've done this in Christian schools. And I really believe that over years that the Lord has given me athletics as a ministry, and that He has taught me the scriptural way to run that ministry. So there are 3 things that I go into any school, whether it's public school or Christian school. There are 3 things that I try to base what we do. Number 1 is being excellent. And I really believe, and this may go back to when I was, my dad was kind of this way, and he was just an old hillbilly that moved up to the steel mills of Warren, Ohio, and had an 8th grade education, but he was the smartest man I ever knew. And he'd make me sweep that kitchen floor 4 times till I got it right. But he instilled in me that you do things right. And I'll never forget when I was in high school, and we had a cantata, and everybody was supposed to wear a white shirt and black pants. And again, we were just an old hillbilly choir, forgive me, but that's all I am. And a couple of guys showed up in flannel shirts. And I was so mad, I was so angry. And I remember one of the ladies coming to me and saying, "Oh, you got this all wrong, Bruce. It's just about serving the Lord and doing that kind of stuff, and it's your heart and all that kind. And everything she said was right. And I was wrong to be mad, But at the same time, I wasn't wrong. Because if you're supposed to wear a white shirt, you should have shown up in a white shirt. If you don't have a white shirt, go down and get one off a bump. But show up in a white shirt. That may be a little thing, but when you put Christian across your chest, you say Christ-like, you say, I'm a follower of Christ. I believe that when we do things with excellence and precision and grandeur and beauty, that we make an invisible God visible. That we show His grandeur and His excellence and His beauty and His precision. Ball team comes out on the field. I used to tell my kids back when I coached high school baseball, I said, I can tell whether we're going to win the game if I've never seen the team before when I'm driving up in the bus with the kids. Because if they're out there and they got their shirt tail out, they got their hat on backwards, and they're throwing the ball like this, and they're catching the ball with one hand, it's over. It's over. Because my kids are going to come out, and they're going to have their shoes polished, and they're going to have their shirt tails in, and they're going to have their hands up, and they're going to be doing everything fundamentally right from the time they get off the bus. And we're going to win. And we're going to win. So there's a direct relationship there. But as Christians, I think that should be part of who we are. We should be excellent in everything that we do. That doesn't mean you have to be opulent. When my son was graduating from college and he was looking for a job, one of the schools in the area, I said, you need to go over and check out LeBray High School. And he said, how come LeBray? And he goes, that's really poor section. I said, because those people over there at La Brea have got pride. They've got pride. I said, every time you go over there, they have an old school building, they got an old stadium, they got old fields, but it's always mowed. The fence lines are always trimmed. Everything's painted. Everything's in school colors. Everything's clean. Those people have pride. And those kids were tough. They were tough and they had pride. And I said, you go over there as a coach with those tough kids that come from those tough parents that have pride, and you will win. And it'll be a great start to your career. They didn't have a lot of money. They had a lot of pride. So I just want you to know that that's a big foundation for me, and that's doing things with excellence, and it might be just a matter of cleaning it up. Let's just clean it up. Let's clean it up. Let's mow it up. Let's do things the right way. I want our kids to take ownership. I coached for a year at Ohio State University, and after the baseball game at Ohio State University, every baseball player on that team had a job. And some of them fixed the mound, and some of them fixed the dirt around home plate, and some of them picked up the garbage, and some of them swept out the dugout, and some of them cleaned up the locker room. But everybody had a job. And you take ownership. I'm going to make your kids take ownership. We're going to clean up after ourselves. We're going to be excellent. But excellence by itself is not enough, guys. That second part, it's not about me. I'm completely convinced that the only thing that lasts in this lifetime is what you do for others out of a pure love for Jesus Christ, out of a pure heart. I'm completely convinced of that. That's the only true joy in this life. I'm completely convinced that. You'll never convince me of anything else. And everybody that's in here a parent, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Your kids aren't parents, they haven't learned that yet. They probably won't learn it unless they become parents. Athletics is a great opportunity to teach them. It's a great opportunity because it's about team. It's about representing your school. It's about representing Christ for us. It's about being part of something that's bigger than yourself. Nothing does that better than athletics. Being part of a team, serving others, putting the other person's interest above your own statistics. And so that's something that we're really going to teach. We're going to be service-oriented. We want our teams to be service-oriented. We want to show the love of Christ to our competitors. We want to show the love of Christ to our church. We want to show the love of Christ to our community. We want to show the love of Christ to each other. And they'll have joy from that. The joy is not in the winning. The joy is in the sacrifices. Do you agree with that? The joy is not in the winning. The joy is in the sacrifice. I used to tell guys all the time, listen, the greatest feeling in athletics, and I think I heard this from Al McGuire, not that he was a great Christian or anything, he played basketball. But Al McGuire said the greatest feeling in athletics is giving it all you had and leaving nothing behind and winning that game. He said that's the greatest feeling in athletics. He said, but it's followed very closely by the second greatest feeling in athletics, and that's giving it all you have and losing that big game and leaving it all out there. And I heard him tell a bunch of guys, everybody in those stands wants to be you at that moment, even though you're the losing team. They're up in the stands, and they wish they could have been you. And it's all about teaching kids not to build bridges. Not to build bridges to failure, but to blow all those bridges up and lay it all on the line and see what happens. And if you fail, it's okay. It's okay, because the sacrifice is what's going to bring the joy. And I tell you, some of the greatest teams I've been on were teams like that. Final part, though, of that three thing is being elite. And that's not to mean that we want to be superior. It just means, elite means that we want to be all that God has called us to be. And to me, that's what competition is all about. Athletics is about putting kids under pressure. When you put kids under pressure, their character is revealed. Listen, if your child comes home unhappy, that's not a bad thing. Don't expect your child to come home from practice every day happy. If they come home from practice every day happy, your coach is not doing his job or her job. Your child needs to be pushed, challenged. Show them where they're weak. Show them where they can get better. There's got to be some friction there. There's got to be a lot of love there too. I remember when I was in 6th grade, we had a big old football coach that was our PE teacher. His name was Mr. Green. And Mr. Green would every now and then blow the whistle and yell free-for-all. And that was time for all the guys to attack him and try to take him down. And that was the greatest moment when he blew that whistle and yelled free-for-all, because I mean, we went for it. And he would knock us everywhere. I mean, boom, smack, shove, knock, kick, fly against the wall, get the wind knocked out of you. I mean, the whole bit. Now, if he did that in anger, we'd had a mess with him. But he was a big old teddy bear that loved everybody. You know what I'm talking about? So he could knock you down, and it didn't mean anything. And that's what I want our coaches to be able to do. I want them to have enough relationship and have enough love. Success should never be measured by what you are, but what you are compared to. But you are what you compare to what you are inspired to be. But compared to what you are inspired to be, a person may appear successful when compared to others, but a true evaluation of our success must be measured by our own potential. Most in this country are not even trying, guys. They're not even trying. It takes about this much to go from failure to success. Be competitive. We want to teach our kids to compete. I'll give you a last thing on this. I was coaching at Grove City College and had a big old, Eric Arneson's his name, you can look him up. He was our first kid in our college to get drafted, Division III Christian school. Got drafted, spent a number of years and made it to the AAA level, and then, didn't make it. And but he was out on the mound, and we were playing Thomas More, big old corn-fed beef kids out of Kentucky. And they were knocking the snot out of the ball. And they were standing right on the plate, and I mean just hammering. And so the game started, and they had this first game of the doubleheader, and they pounded I don't know how many home runs. And here was our ace on the mound. Our kid was going to get drafted, and he was right on top, and the first kid. And I walked out there and I said, Eric, I need you to set this next kid down on his backside. Coach, I don't know about that. And I said, what do you mean you don't know about it? I said, I want you to knock him down. I didn't ask you to throw it at his head. I said, I want you to back him off that plate. I want him to get his uniform dirty. I said, knock him down. Coach, I don't think that's a Christian thing to do. I said, well, I'll tell you what, Eric. I said, you either knock him down or I'm going to take you out of the game and I'll put somebody in that will knock him down. Because that plate belongs to us, and they're trying to take it. So he wound up and threw the ball about 5 feet behind the guy. I was so mad at him. But after the game, I said, I want you to go to the book of Nehemiah, and I said, I want you to, now these, Grove City College is one of the top academic schools in the nation. These kids were brilliant. So I want you to go to the book of Nehemiah, and I want you to read it, and I want you to come back and tell me what Nehemiah said when Sam Mallett was trying to tear down his wall. And he said, okay, I will, Coach. So the next day of practice, I grabbed him. I said, Eric, what'd you find out? I said, what did Nehemiah have to say? He said, petition the Lord and post a guard. I said, yeah, let me rephrase that for you. Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. He goes, I got you, Coach, I got you. So you get my drift. It's all about learning how to compete, but learning how to compete the right way. And I want our kids to be competitive, but I want them to be competitive for the right reasons. And I think if we keep those things in order, that we will be successful. Now, I'm giving you another handout, and I'm not going to go through it. But I really believe there's another one. We are training young men and women for the battle. And I've got 4 things there that I want you to take a look at when you get a moment. I think there are 4 great principles that we want to apply to this, to these 3 principles. And that's abiding in Christ, being trained by grace, training yourself in godliness, and disciplined to become spiritual athletes. We want our athletes to become spiritual athletes. And so this is really a guiding principle for me in everything that I do as an athletic director and everything that I want for our kids. And so I want you to take the opportunity. I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to bore you to death. But I really want you to take a look at that. And I think that you'll see, I've got in there what I think the athlete should be, what the coach should be, and what athletics is all about. And then I've given you a foundation, a biblical foundation, I think, for why we should have athletics and why we should compete. And I think if you look at those two things, I think you'll feel good about what's going on here at Concord Christian School in athletics. It's going to be the foundation of everything that we do, and I really believe that it's going to keep the main thing the main thing. Now I want to get into something kind of specific. Communication is very important, and we're really trying to set up a great and easy network for you. And I want to give you some principles today, and I'm going to ask you to abide by those when it comes to communication. And it's going to be a little bit tough, and maybe something that you're not used to, I don't know. But I think it's really important for us to have these in place and have this structure in place so that we can learn when's the appropriate time to communicate, and when's the appropriate time to back off and let the coach do his or her job. And we're going to have conflict when it comes, that's fine. We'll deal with it together. I tell my coaches, when a parent comes in to talk to me, they're not always wrong. So, I'm going to listen to what they have to say. Because you're not perfect, I'm not perfect. And if they come in to criticize, I'm going to listen to that criticism. If they come in to talk about what's going on, I'm going to listen to that, because we need to understand what's going on from their point of view. It doesn't mean they're always right. It doesn't mean they're always wrong. So I'll support my coaches. I'll always support my coaches. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to blindly support them in everything that they do. So if you have an issue, you can come talk. But let's follow this model, and I've written it out for you. First of all, don't come and talk about playing time, because that's not something that we'll talk about. That is the purview of the coach. Now, in our program, we're going to try to build our program so that our kids, all the way from the bottom level through the top, are playing. I'm going to tell our varsity coaches, you need to develop that program so that your middle school kids are participating, learning, getting the fundamentals, learning to enjoy the game, learning to find out if this is the game for them or not. Not every game's for everybody. I remember I had a coach coming when I was coaching basketball at Chagrin Falls High School, and he said, "You got to come and coach my JV baseball team," because he knew that I was a baseball guy. And I said, I can't do that. He goes, "Please, you got to come coach this baseball team." I said, I'm not going to. I can't. No, I'm not going to do that. I don't have time for that. I'm not going to do that. He begged me and begged me and begged me all the way up to the very first scrimmage. He said, "I've got nobody. You've got to come and take these kids." I said, "All right, I'll do it." So I get on the bus with these kids, and we go out to this scrimmage, and it was the worst group of bad news bears I'd ever seen in my entire life. I mean, they couldn't do anything. And that ball was hitting them on the head, and they were chasing them around. I'm thinking, what did he get me into? And I called all those kids together afterwards, and I said, "Fellas, there's a lot of things in life besides baseball." I said, "We got the chess club, we got the band, we got all kinds of things, but you guys aren't baseball players." And they all started laughing and go, "We know, Coach. We know who's sick. Will you coach us anyway?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll coach you anyway." I think we won 6 of those kids. But you know what? None of them were baseball players. But that's what middle school is all about. Middle school is about finding out what you're good at and where you can play. And then when you get to the JV level, that's where it starts to get a little bit more serious, and you start competing a little bit more for a position. But everybody on that JV level ought to be playing. And then when you get to the varsity level, those the senior on that team, that senior should have a role, or they should have been cut. If they haven't been cut, then they've got a role, and let's find that role for them and let's play it. So the goal of our athletic program is for everybody to participate, not equally. We're not running a socialist system here. But based on their effort and based on their skill level and based on the fact that we've developed them through the program, if we do this right, that'll be the product of what we do. But don't come and talk about playing time. People come to me and say, hey, Susie should be playing more. Well, who's playing in front of Susie? Well, Betty's playing in front of Susie. Well, Betty's one of mine too. As long as they're from Concord Christian, I don't care who the coach puts on the field or on the court. So you're not going to get much if you come to talk about playing time. Now, you want to talk about your child getting better or wanting to earn that playing time? Let's have your child go to the coach when there's a conflict. And there will be conflict. Have your child go to the coach. And I know that's really hard sometimes because the first thing you want to do is come in and defend your child when you think your child's being wrong. I understand. I really understand that. But make them grow some year. Use this as an opportunity. Have them go talk to the coach. Why am I not getting to play? What am I doing? Is it my attitude? Is it my skill that needs to improve? Is it my effort? Why aren't you playing me more in the game? And see what you get from that. Now, if there's something that arises, there's a problem, you think your child's been hurt, you call me on the phone. Okay? I don't want you to think that I'm unapproachable, because I'm not. I want you to call me on the phone. But I want you to learn to let your child grow some through this experience. Then if you have an issue, go to the coach. Please don't go after the game when you're mad, and the coach might be mad, or even after practice. Call them up later, make an appointment, call my office if you can't get a hold of them. Say, hey, listen, I'm really having a struggle with the coach. I need to talk to him about it. We'll set up a meeting, you can talk to the coach. Once that happens, if you're still not happy, you can come to me. And I'll sit down and I'll talk you through it, and we'll honestly look at it together and try to see what's going on and what's the case. Is there a personality conflict? Is there an issue that I need to straighten out with my coach? Is there an issue with your child that we need to work on? We'll try to really look at it closely and come to a helpful solution together. All right, without all the stuff. Now, if you're still not happy and you want to go above me, that's great. Go ahead. You know, go on up there and go above me if you think that's an issue that's important. But don't do that without going. You know, go through it. Go through it. Come to me. You know, worst thing that can happen is for you to go to my boss, the head of school, to say such and such called me, some parent called me, blah blah blah, because I'm going to have to put it off. I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because you're just trying to pull something, you know. And you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. So have respect, and I'll have respect for you, and it'll really help us communicate. It really helps us communicate. Now, if we're falling down on the job in the athletic office, call me right away. Say, Bruce, we didn't get the information. This is a problem. Call me up on the phone and tell me. I don't mind getting criticized. All right? Now, if you send me a nasty email, I'll read about 2 lines and then I'll leave. I'll ruin my day with your nasty email. But you can call me high smelling and low down, and we'll get rid of that. But if you say, Bruce, I think you're messing up here, and I want to bring it to your attention, and I'll certainly do my best to straighten myself out. My wife does it to me all the time. Final thing for me then is sportsmanship, and then we'll just talk about some nuts and bolts things, and then we'll be done with it. I was telling Robin, when I first became an athletic director, I was in my own hometown, and I was very proud to become the athletic director of my hometown. But the problem with that was everybody knew me. And so I got up and really was hammering them on sportsmanship because the school had developed a bad reputation for the way it handled officials and all that kind of good stuff. You know? So what I had forgotten was that about 4 years earlier, my son was 12 years old and he was playing in a Little League tournament, and it was a championship athlete. And the guy behind the plate was not a buddy, but I mean, I'd known him for years. But his son was on the other team, and he was the president of the league. So somehow he had decided that he was going to umpire this ball game. Well, I was completely convinced that we were getting cheated. And so I was letting him know from behind the backstop every time he blew a call, which I thought was about every other pitch, you know, and I was getting on him, and I was just being an idiot. And I was mad, you know, and finally he had enough. He turned around, he said, "Bruce, get out of here, get in your car, throw it out of the game, I'm gonna get a cop over here," you know, and he did the whole bit, you know, and I threw up my hands, I had my lawn chair, you know, I picked up my lawn chair, stormed off, didn't even get to see the end of my son's championship game, and wasn't very pleased with myself. But here about 4 years later, I'm standing in front of this whole crowd of people, big crowd now, big school, you know, and I'm talking to them about how their behavior is. Her name was Mrs. Lucier. Mrs. Lucier raises her hand, and I'm looking at Mrs. Lucier. She said, "Bruce, I seen you get thrown out of that Little League 4 years ago. Don't you be standing up there preaching us now." Of course, everybody was having a good time with it, and I thought to myself, "Lord, what did I do?" Listen, what I'm trying to say is I understand. You know, we get in those moments, and our kids are out there, and sometimes the officials are mad. In high school these days, man, they're pretty bad. But we can't do that. We can't do that, and we're not going to do that. Here's what's going to happen with our kids. Our kids are never going to show emotion. Never. We're going to drill that into them from day one, from my first coach's meeting. Never. We're not going to argue with umpires. We're not going to roll our eyes. I'm going to tell our kids, first time they roll their eyes, out of the game. If you don't take them out of the game, I'll take you out of the game, and I'll finish the game. But if they roll their eyes, they're coming out. If they put their hands up like this, they're coming out. If they look at the official dirty, they're coming out. We will train them quickly, no emotion. The officials officiate, coaches coach, players play. That's it. And I'm asking you to help me with that, because it's going to be awfully hard. You say, what about your coaches? Yeah? The coaches will be told the same thing. Now, coaches, there's a time for coaches to get on officials. But there's limits to that as well. All right? There's limits to that as well. The best coaches that I ever had? No. Best coaches that I've ever seen are the ones that, now, Mike Krzyzewski, one of the greatest coaches of all time, he gets on officials ugly. But he's learned how to do it. He walks out to center court, he covers his mouth, and he looks at the wall, and then he gives it to him. And maybe he's earned the right to do that. Best coaches I've ever seen, they don't do this. And so we're going to try to model that behavior. So what I'm asking for you, as tough as that is, let's not scream at officials. Let's not scream at officials. Let's show that elitism. You know, let's show that elitism in everything that we do in every game. Let's root for everybody on the field. One of the things that I'm really finding more and more in athletics is watching the crowd and watching parents that will root for their own child, but not for the rest of the team. It amazes me. My son Billy scores, and oh my goodness gracious, that's my son. He drinks milk of magnesia. You know, and then Johnny scores. Billy ought to be in that. Billy ought to be in that forward spot. That guy shoots the ball too much. You know, and it's just amazing. We're on the same team. The goal is to win the game. Let's root for everybody on the team as you root for your own child. And remember this, and I really believe this. One of the things that I've loved about athletics so much have been the stories, and I'm really going to try to do that. We've got a website. We're going to market your kids, and we're going to market them, and we're going to market more than just their athletic prowess. We're going to market your kids. And we're going to use it as a way of reinforcing when they do things well. And there are so many things that take place in the game that I want you to see when you come to the game, not just the scoreboard. I'll never forget, I had this kid, his name was Brandon Kubasina, and he had this little special needs kid that he just paid all kinds of attention to in church. And he was a Christian kid, was a public school, but he was a Christian kid, and I knew he was a Christian, and he just paid all kinds of attention to this kid in church. And this kid came to every game and cheered his heart out for Brandon. And I'm telling you, I love that. I love that. I remember we had a great all-state basketball player, girl, and she found out right in the middle of the year that she had no cartilage in her knees, and the doctor told her, "You're done playing basketball. If you play, you will be in a wheelchair when you're 40. You've got nothing." And she had to give it up. She literally had to give it up in the middle of the year. I thought we were going to win a state title. She came to every single game, sat on that bench, coached those kids up, cheered for those kids. I love that child. You know? And that happens all the time. Kids that sacrifice for their team. Last kid on the bench. I had a little kid sat on the end of my bench in high school. He was the last kid to make the team, and he barely made that team. And he was a scrawny little thing. He came to me one time, and he played never did he get in the game. And I told him, "You'll never get in the game. You happy with that?" "Oh yeah, coach, just want to be on the team." I said, "Good, don't come to me halfway through and start crying." Because I'm telling you, you are never going to play. That's okay, coach. He'd sit down and then he'd come to me, I don't know, half a dozen games in, he said, "Coach, I'd like to steal signs." "What?" "I know the other guy's signs." He said, "It just takes me an inning, I got it." Okay, here's how this is going to work. And if you do this, I forget what he had him do, hold a clipboard or hold a pencil or whatever. They were going to steal or whatever, and I says, "I'll be down here, and you give me the signals, and I'll..." And I'm telling you what, we stole everybody's. Now you might say, "Oh, that's awful, that's unchristian." Well, I don't know. But I'll never forget, we played the undefeated, we played Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, home of LeBron James. And we were playing them, and they were undefeated, and we were in the regional finals, and we had stolen their sign. And so I was pitching out, and we were getting them, and we won that ball game 3-1. And everybody was talking about how Johnson outcoached this guy from Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. It was in the paper and everything. One of the best coaching jobs, Coach Johnson outcoached blah, blah, blah. They didn't know, it was little Billy Beauchamp. And I gave him no credit. No credit. Last thing, and this is just something that I want you to think about. We're going to tell our kids to stay off of social media. We don't want them criticizing their coaches. We don't want them criticizing their teammates. We really don't want them making any statements at all. That's a tough thing these days. Everybody's on it all the time. The thing about social media now is that we've learned the art of the non-verbal communication, if you will. We've learned how to, the double entendre. We've learned the cryptic remark. You know what I'm talking about? We've learned how to cut. We've learned how to cut. So I'm going to teach our kids not to do that. I want them to stay off. And I'm really asking that you would do the same. That you would be very positive about what we're doing. And very positive about your coach. Very positive about other players. Even if don't make remarks about the other team. Some teams come on and just behave absolutely awful. Don't get on and criticize. Leave that to me. If you want to give me a call, I'm fine. If you want to call me up and say, "Bruce, you know, you need to do something about that. Those guys came in here and this is what they did, and I don't like the way they behaved." And I'll follow up on it. Trust me. I'm not afraid to call
once you do it, don't do it. Just stay off of it, please. I'm asking. And don't criticize me. Don't cut my legs out from under me, because I'm trying to build your kids, and I can't build your kids and your coaches and your program if you're cutting my legs out from under me. It doesn't work that way. We're not going to be successful as a school if we're constantly criticizing each other. It's not scriptural anyway. If you got aught against your brother, come to you. Tell him. Don't go on social media. If we can eliminate that kind of stuff, guys, wow, we'll just go so far. We can become a model for what's going on. Listen, if you're getting really angry, sit down and type it all out, and just before you're about to send it to me, don't. Then the next day, read it over, and if you still want to send it, don't send it. But I'll leave you with this on that. My brother was a prison guard, tough guy. And one of his fellow correctional officers, prison guards, had a kid on one of the teams. And he said, he came to my brother and he said, hey, I got an issue with your brother. And he goes, I want to, with my son. And my brother said, call him up on the phone, talk to him. He'll talk to you. And so I don't know. I said, yeah, call him up and send him an email. Talk to him. He'll talk to you. So this guy sends me this long email. So I responded, I responded to the email. And so this is my brother telling me the story. He goes, that guy came back in and said you responded. And I said, well, how'd it go? He said, well, he came in and I said, did you talk to my brother? He said, yeah, I did. And he goes, well, what did he say? He goes, I'm not sure. I think he told me to drop dead. But he did it in such a nice way. We all know how to communicate. And we all know when it hurts. So let's really teach our kids, and let's get behind each other, and let's be supportive, and we will have a great year. Budgets and booster club. Now this is where you start to dislike me. I understand. When I came in, it was a red letter mess. Now Allison Maurer had done a great job of taking what had been $150,000 deficits. Now guys, that's a lot of deficit for a small Christian school athletics program. $150,000 deficits. And she had got it down to 15 this past year. And she made some enemies doing it. But she had cut it down. So when I came in, there it was. So I put together, like I said, we tore it all the way down, and I put it together, and the budget, bare bones budget, really not buying very much at all, especially in terms of uniforms and equipment. $189,000. It's over. I'm being as transparent as I can with it, because I don't want you. One of the things I've heard is that that's been part of the problem. Nobody knows what's going on, and you can't ask for money because nobody knows what's going on. They're afraid to give the money. So I'm just going to be right open with it. And looking for help. $189,000. About $100,000 of that is salaries, and we moderated all the salaries, and we tried to make them equitable across the board. We got rid of this guy setting his own salary and then charging a fee to go with it. We moderated them. We made them equal. We said, there it is. Coach for us if you want to. If you don't, we'll find somebody else. That's what we got. And our trainer, who's absolutely vital, and that tops $100,000. We bring in $14,000 maybe in ticket sales. Without football, it will be a lot less than that. We bring in concessions, maybe $5,000 or $6,000. We're talking about another $15,000 to $20,000. So we're looking at a deficit of about $50,000 or $60,000. Now, when I turned the budget in, they came back to me and they said, "Hey, we've got exciting news. Your budget got approved." I'm sitting there. I told my wife, I said, "My $80,000 in the whole budget got approved." You know what that means? I got to go out and raise that money because I got to break even. And I've got plans beyond that budget. Okay? So I sat down and I looked at it. The fee for high school is $450. I know that's a lot of money. I paid in 2 installments. One in August, one in September, then one in December, one in January for winter, and then one in March and one in April. So it's been split in half. Try not to punch you in the stomach all at once. Especially if you've got multiple kids. Trust me, I know. I know. But that pays for about half. $300 at the middle school. That pays for about half. Swimming, I think, is less than that for a variety of reasons. $250. No, maybe it's not. Forget that. But that's the best I can do, guys, and still raise $70,000, $80,000. All right? I'm going to need help. Sean, raise your hand, Sean. Sean is head of our booster club right there. Sean and I are working to do things way beyond just the budget. Softball field, baseball field. We got plans to work with the administration developing a capital campaign, which I've been working on, for a kind of a larger thing in the school, not just athletics, but larger, but that will impact athletics. We need to clean it up. We need to make it look better. We've got to keep it mowed. We've got to keep it painted. We've got to clean up that stuff. We've got to organize our equipment and our uniforms. Guys, Brian and I went in and looked at helmets the other day and started cleaning up that thing. Do you know that we had 15 kids on the football team last year and we had over 100 football helmets? None of them more than 6 years old. Helmets last 10 years. And then you have to get rid of them. 10. None of our helmets were more than 6 years old, and we had 100 of them. That means we were sitting on about, I don't know, $30,000 worth of helmets. Uniforms like you wouldn't believe. Boxes and boxes of uniforms. The waste is unimaginable. And nobody knew that it was there. You know? So we cleaned it up, we've got rid of it, we gave it away, we donated it, but we got down to what we need. We're going to use those helmets. We're going to keep using those helmets for the future as we build. A lot of shoulder pads too. We're going to take care of your money. We're going to try to do it first class. We want our kids out there in the best uniforms, the best warm-ups, the best team bags. We want them looking sharp, and we want to do it well. So I'm really asking for your help. When we start asking about this booster club, get involved. Because we're going to do this right, we're going to organize it well, and we're going to go out and we're going to use the golf outing, and we're going to use corporate sponsorships, and I think those two things can supplement what we do. There's so many businesses here. There's so much money available to us. All we got to do is look the part, give them the right vehicle, and ask. And they will give it. And they will help us fund our athletic program. The website is
CCSLionathletics.org. But if you go to the main Concord website, click on athletics, there's a direct link for you there.
We've just started it, but it's a website just for athletics. And that doesn't mean anything if nobody's going to work it, and I'm going to work it. And we'll have everything on there. We've got a new program called Schedule Star. We just started loading our schedules today. And we will send you all that information. You'll be able to get tweeted, texted, emailed, whatever you want. You can sign up for whatever you want. And I'm going to write stories about your kids and about those teams. And we're going to put pictures on there. And we're going to really make that website something special. And so look on it and see where we started. And it's just the beginning. And we've also digitized all of our sports medicine stuff. So it's under a thing called Dragonfly, and we're connected to the website. And so Katie will tell you what you need